On this episode, we're going to unpack what emotion men struggle with the most and why. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to The Patros Podcast. My name is Alan. This is Jeff. And we are diving into the topic of what emotion do men struggle with the most and why. And of course, we always want to know, how do we biblically approach that as biblical men? So if you're watching this, you want to be a biblical man. I already know it. So Jeff.
Yeah, they do.
When it comes to, strength, when you hear the word strong, what picture comes to mind, and what are we thinking when it comes to strength?
Well, yeah, because like there are different kinds of strengths, and I know we're going to talk about emotions today and men and why we struggle with those. But when I think of strength, I first think of physical. Like that's just what I think.
That's your go-to.
That's my go-to. Like I'm a dude. I lift. Now I have an athletic background, so
that's why
my dad dropped me off at the gym in the 5th grade, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah,
right? For me, it's become physical mastery.
Yeah.
So it's something that I don't even have to think about. Mm-hmm. I physically do it. I'm like a robot. Mm-hmm. I get up, I go work out, and right. So that may be. I know that's not every guy out there, but I do think there's a moral strength. I think there's an intellectual strength, and I do think there's an emotional strength. We typically we use the word strong, and it means a lot of different things. So I think that is why we want to unpack it, because biblically, in particular around our emotions, like what does that mean? Because when I hear strong, like if I'm thinking emotional strength, for me, I think it's the capacity for self-control. That would be my go-to answer.
Yeah,
is because most people they blurt out whatever they want to blurt out.
Yeah,
they say whatever they want to say, and I'm not saying there's not a time for that. Like if you're in a battle, right, and your training takes over, it's just like the first thing that comes out. It's like
is
boom,
instinct,
boom, or if
because
there's crisis,
you've trained it. Yeah.
But I think in general, emotional strength is the capacity to regulate. And regulation, to me, I think of self-control. So I don't know. What do you think of?
Well, when I hear strength, the first thing I think of is very much a physically strong person.
Yeah.
Like I don't go straight to the meek man that controls his emotions. Like if you walked into a room and said like, "Bro, I just met this guy. He's the strongest guy I've ever met," I wouldn't think the other stuff naturally. Yeah. But I think that's also because that's just how humans think about strength.
If someone was described as a woman, like if someone was like, "Oh, she's the strongest woman I've ever met," what would you think?
I wouldn't think about physical.
See?
I would think about emotional.
See?
Yeah.
Like that's just, and I think that's really telling.
Is that Hollywood did that to us?
Whether it's culture or biology, God, whatever, like it is interesting to me that when we characterize a woman as strong, we think emotional. She's emotionally strong. She's got it together, right? When we say that man is strong, like that dude is strong, like we think, oh yeah, he's probably a beast.
He could deadlift.
He's probably a beast, or like he probably can we think like David Goggins or something.
Yes.
Like, so even though David Goggins is to me a mental that's
he's emotionally strong or mentally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like there is this capacity of physicality with it. Like he's doing physical things.
Yeah.
And typically that's what I think. So.
Well, I like what you said about strength in the sense of like self-control, because that's what getting physically strong requires, is the doing things that don't necessarily feel good, or exercising the challenge in order to get to this result. And that is the same behavior. It's just, where do we put it? Do we put it physically, mentally, spiritually? Yeah. But it's still the same root thing of self-control.
Self-control. And I do think there's something along the lines of like being present.
Yeah.
So like if you think about somebody who is emotionally, let's say emotionally, I also like the term resilient as a metaphor for strong.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking emotionally, because you get kicked in the teeth every day.
Yeah. So if that guy has a strong jaw, that means he can take a hit.
He can take a hit.
Because it's resilient.
It's resilient. Yeah. So in the same way, if you're emotionally strong, that means you're resilient. You're able to take and you're able to healthily take the information in, process it, and then spit it back out, and
Yeah.
put it in the right place of your brain. And I think I do think that there is there are plenty of men who can't do that.
Yeah.
And if you think about men, like we have high levels of testosterone, right? So
Some of us.
generally,
All right, now we're gonna put the commercial for low T
yeah,
in here.
sponsored by. But we have higher levels of testosterone than women. So testosterone produces the emotions of anger and aggression, right? Like much more than they do in a woman. So
Yeah.
it's not like, when we say, oh, men, we're not emotional and, whatever. It's like, well, do you get angry?
Yeah, we
Then you
have
are
emotions.
emotional.
Yeah. Well, and the emotions that we have that we don't perceive as productive for us to like share, we just put them and just put them down there and tuck them away as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which then produces anger as well.
Oh yeah. So like, if you think about this, I was listening to a guy the other day talk about this in a seminar, and he was talking about emotions. He's talking about this very thing. And so when essentially an emotion is it's like, how do you feel? Which is the first thing that comes into your brain. So when you have anything about any experience you have, you immediately, without thinking about it, subconsciously, you're going, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, this makes me uncomfortable. That felt really good.
Yeah.
We, without even thinking, so it comes into like our limbic system, and immediately like we're processing, do I like this or do I not? And this from like the trauma stuff, your amygdala is your fear, response. And so like it automatically comes in and tells you like, should I be afraid here? Should I not? Do I need to? And so with testosterone, a lot of guys, because of just the history of it, we take that fear and anger and it turns into aggression. And when that gets packed away in our brain, it tends to go to the back part of our brain, which is the lower IQ part of the brain.
Yeah, it's not your prefrontal cortex.
It's not your prefrontal cortex.
You're not
That's where
making
all
good
your
decisions.
intelligence is.
Yeah.
And your good decisions. And the problem is a lot of men are operating from their cerebellum, the back part of their brain. And it's like on average 18 points lower in IQ.
Oh,
That's what this
wow.
guy was saying.
No way.
So like when you're not operating in a healthy manner with your emotions, you're dumber.
Yeah. As Lauren Smith would say, you're flooded. So therefore, you're just not going to make good decisions.
You're not going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So I think for biblical men, it's like, how do we process appropriately?
Yeah.
And that's why scriptures say that you have to meditate on the word.
Yeah.
You have to, Romans 12:1, you have to renew your mind. So, I mean, I think one of the first keys to emotional health for a Christian has to be spending time in God's word.
Yeah.
You have to retrain yourself to think properly so that when an emotion comes in, and we typically don't recognize them as emotions, they're just automatic. They're there, and we're responding to it. If I have trained my mind, then I have a higher likelihood to respond in a healthy way.
That's good. Right? Yeah, like I was so we've talked about before that I have some ADHD tendencies, never been fully diagnosed. I don't know if I want to put a label on it. Maybe
I'll put a label on it.
But I had a really good conversation with Don Rice to like unpack some of that stuff. Yeah. And I got a notebook and you've told me 1,000 times, just if writing it down with your hands makes it so much better. But it's hard when you're used to just using your phone.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I gotta just change behavior, because behavior that I have had isn't helping me.
The connection is stronger.
Yeah.
When you're going through the physical process.
Yeah. Well, and I felt it of like, I have to commit to writing this down. Is it worth me writing down, or have I fully let that thought out yet? Like, have I fleshed that thought out?
Yeah.
But when I went to buy the notebook, I wanted to put a Bible verse on the first page, and I was like, what do I filter everything through? Like, everything that I filter through is really usually 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you eat, drink, or whatsoever you do all to the glory of God. And I think that is one of the most powerful verses for any Christian.
Yeah.
Is the decisions or how I'm interacting with this behavior, this emotion, going to glorify Jesus? Which then goes to everything that you just said about like, well, what does it look like to glorify Jesus in scenarios like this? Well, I need to know more about the Bible. How does Jesus want me to, unpack this stuff?
It's just crazy because, like, as a Christian, if you call yourself a Christian, you're literally naming the name of Christ.
I'm a little Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He is your example.
Yeah.
So if I'm a Christian, and we wouldn't do this with any other thing, like you work for an organization, you play on a team, you do any association, there's certain characters and characteristics and qualities that say, hey, I'm a part of this thing.
Yeah.
Like I got the jersey, and this is how we stretch, and this is the mentality of our team, and all of that. And maybe athletics skews my mind on this. I'll be the first one to say, because I spent so much time playing athletics.
Yeah.
Teamwork and, like that kind of, like a bigger vision and a bigger goal comes naturally to me. So I think if you haven't, like, for instance, people are playing individual sports, or maybe they're do music or art or whatever the case is, those are highly individualized. And Christianity is a team sport. Right? Like, you have an individual relationship with Jesus, but you have a connection to your brothers and sisters that I think kind of helps with the emotional, regulate when you're used to doing that kind of thing. I think it helps. Like, if you come from a big family, you have to learn how to regulate your emotions.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have a choice.
If you don't, it doesn't usually work well for you.
No, you
You'll
just
get
end up hitting and biting each other.
100%. Yeah.
So a couple things like that I would characterize as healthy emotional, regulation, just scripturally. Like, number one, feel deeply without being ruled by emotions. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So if we unpack feeling deeply and not being ruled by your emotions, like you look at grief in the scriptures. So you look at the book of Job, and you see how Job, although has the right, for those of you that don't know his story, he's living faithfully. He has everything that you really want. He has a family, he has a business, he has land, he has a home. And God basically is like, have you considered my servant Job?
Yeah.
And Satan strips so many things away from Job, even ends up making him sick. And Job isn't ruled by his emotions. Although he does go through grief, although he does eventually question God, but the people around him, their response is immediately like not what you would want in friends, or some of them it is, but his wife telling him like, curse God. That's being ruled by your emotions. It's like he is first going through like, what is the
so
biblical?
emotional? Sorry, just kidding.
But you really have, but then the difference is you have, and that to me is like, Job is really still staying faithful to God, even though he wrestles with the questions. And I think that is something that we could learn from, is even when I'm going through stuff that I feel justified in feeling bad emotions, God is not against me feeling those emotions.
Yeah.
What he is against us is being unbiblical with our emotions.
Yeah.
So the second that Job started questioning is where God was like, oh, let me stop you there.
Yeah. You have to be able to feel it, because otherwise you're just going to suppress it. So that would be the opposite of that. Would be like, you know what? I just need to be strong for my family and deal with this.
Yeah.
And I do think there are seasons where maybe you do have to do more of that. But if you don't come out of that, if you don't learn from that, you will harm yourself over the long haul, which then does mean you're harming your family because you're not appropriately processing those things. So there has to be a way to express the emotion. I mean, we tell our kids all the time, like, you can be angry.
Yeah.
It's okay to be mad here. But what you can't do is, stomp off every time you don't get your way, and, have a bad attitude and all the things. Like, so even my daughter the other day, she's like, well, how do I deal with this emotion? I'm like, go yell into your pillow. Just yell into your pillow.
Yeah.
And she's like, nobody does that. And both my wife and I are like, we've both done it.
Yeah, everyone
does that. Like, we've done that. Like, I remember times just punching my bed. Like,
because you needed to let out
I just need to let out the anger.
Yeah.
And, so this is if you think about God, there's actually a debate on this. Does God have emotions or not? And they call it, what do they call it? Divine impassibility. Like, so God is immutable, meaning God doesn't change. So if God doesn't change, then he can't be affected by emotions. And I agree with that. And I think that he still experiences emotions.
Yeah.
those emotions though are not subject to like what you've done. Like in other words, I'm not like waiting for you to do and then go, oh my gosh, you did that.
Yeah, he's not reactive with his emotions.
So he's not swayed with it, but
you can grieve. The Holy
He does
Spirit.
experience grief.
Yeah.
He experiences love.
Yeah.
He experiences all kinds of emotions. So I don't know. I think that it's divine impossibility is probably a bad word because it means people think it means one thing, but it actually we probably agree that God does feel emotions. It's just he directs
not in the
emotions.
same way that humans do.
Yeah, maybe not exactly the same way. Yeah, he experiences perfect emotion. But if we look at that, we say, okay, well, I should do it how Jesus does it. I should look to him. So like one of the verses I wanted to read, because like what does emotion look like in the scriptures?
Yeah.
Would be in John 11. This is 34 through 36, and this is where he's going to see Lazarus.
The homie.
And he knows Lazarus is dead. He actually waits, the scriptures say, so that he does die.
And I love that he does that. Because he's like, now that I have kids, bro, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes they'll be like, Daddy, can we do this? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then we're like, oh, how about now? And I'm like, well, now we're just going to wait. But we're going to still do it. Yeah. You just got to wait on my time.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay. And I get why Jesus is like, you guys need everything figured out immediately. And we're just going to sit in this a little bit.
We're going to sit in a little bit. So he says in verse 34, where have you laid him? He asked, come and see, Lord. They replied. Verse 35, Jesus wept. Shortest verse in the Bible. Trivia. Bible trivia there. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him. Now there's debate on, did he love him because he loved him so much, or did he, or was he, why was he weeping? Was he weeping because he loved him so much, or was he weeping
because they had little faith or whatever?
Unbelief and everything. So you can debate that all you want.
Yeah.
The point is
that he wept.
He wept. That was an emotional act. Now, was it predetermined? I don't know. Maybe in his humanness, he was able to do that and still maintain his 100% deity. I'm not exactly sure. The hypostatic union. But he also weeps over Jerusalem when he comes in for, the Passion, like the week before he dies. He weeps over Jerusalem. He's like, oh man, how I long to gather you as, a mother hen gathers her chicks. That's what I wanted to do for you, Israel. So there's grief there. And then you think about the garden. Homie did not want to go through that either.
Yeah, he's like
literally looking for a way out.
Yeah.
But
and that he can deal with that emotion, even though logically he knows there is no other way.
There is no other way.
Because people will say like, well, he was looking, and it's like, no, he knows.
Yeah.
But he feels something, and he's letting it. He's engaging his father with that emotion.
He's expressing it. Yeah. So like when you see all of these, like let's now take to the modern view of masculinity when it comes to emotions, right? What would be your like? What's the modern masculine take on emotions?
They're not helpful. Like for me to be overly emotional.
Yeah.
This is just what I hear, and it's a. When I was looking online in preparation, it was like men deal with a lot of the same emotions as women, but we suppress them more.
Well, yeah, I think that's important to note is that we
don't like engaging with them.
We still have emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just
we don't have more or less. We just suppress them more. We don't talk about them as much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And so
then you get guys saying like, bro, depression is a choice, bro. Like, I'm not going to be depressed today. And it's like, okay. Or you probably didn't grieve correctly at one point because of that. And it's showing up later as anger. Yeah. Or, you haven't really dealt with the things that haunt you. And therefore, all the distracting, the drive for success, the running away from those emotions, it's going to show up in your parenting and in your marriage, or when you end up not being married because you guys fought every single day. Like there's all these. Sure. Yeah, so that's my take on the modern like masculine.
Yeah, and so Jesus, his take was, well, first of all, I'm going to name it. Like I'm literally going to say how I longed to do this. Like I had a longing, and in some regard, we would say that that's disappointment. Now, was that the exact emotion? I don't know, but like certainly we understand what disappointment is.
Yeah.
We've understand how people disappointed us, or like a life circumstance didn't turn out like we thought it was going to be. And so
Yeah.
you have to deal with that emotion. And he didn't just stuff it down. He literally told people, like he
love that.
he told a group there,
Yeah.
right? Like, let me tell you, like I'm disappointed. And that doesn't mean that I don't love you. That doesn't mean that I want to hurt you. That doesn't mean, it just
Yeah.
means like I'm disappointed, and
Yeah.
I'm naming that. He weeps. So like, we have often laughed about
Crying.
crying.
Which we're going to talk about at the end of this episode. So go ahead and listen.
But, crying is something that he did. It was an
Yeah.
emotional,
Yeah.
and whether, again, it was predetermined or, response, he knew he was going to do it, but like maybe he was just modeling for us.
Yeah.
Whatever, however your take is on that theologically,
Yeah.
the point is he wept, he cried. That is an emotion that is highly valuable.
Yeah.
And yet for men, it's not like it's frowned upon. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about it, like don't cry, or you can cry, it's okay. But on the flip side is
You
don't
see
wanna
how
be
people respond to men crying sometimes.
Yeah,
and
they're
then
like-
men are like, I'm not doing
not
that
doing
again.
that again, like because nobody wants to be a blethering idiot.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like we're just weeping all the
Yeah.
time because again, now you're not regulating it. It's
Yeah.
not. And I think that to me is the biggest thing that Jesus shows us is he's able to process it, intake the emotion, feel it, don't suppress it.
And then he
don't
communicates
avoid it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then yes, appropriately communicate it, and then use literally the front part of his brain.
Yeah.
To be able to process that and then keep that there. So then when it happens again, and what happens is if we learn how to do it incorrectly and it goes to the back part of our brain, we are creating those neural pathways that now just that the same response will happen the next time.
Yeah.
Right. Because we haven't created the proper neurology, neural pathways in our brain, which is so wild
Yeah.
to me. And yet the scriptures say you can overcome this. You can overcome this by being in my word, by retraining your mind, and by doing the things that I tell you to do. So A, you have to read it and know it. B, you have to put it into practice. So it's one thing to say, oh, Bible says that I should, renew my mind daily. It's another thing to actually pick up your Bible and go, all right, Lord, what do you want to teach me today?
Exactly.
And
You have to meditate on his word. Well, you look at people like to use Jesus when he went to the temple and really physically was violent, not necessarily to harm people, but people, we're scared of anger and violence. And I think violence is obviously like a topic for another day, but I'm saying that in the way of how he communicated in the temple.
Yeah.
So before he goes to the temple to say, basically, hey, you guys are using this place for business and for commerce instead of for the place that is sacred to worship God, he's angry. And it's a good anger. Like God gave us these emotions to be utilized for his glory. And so when he's preparing for that, that's not a fast, like he's not reacting like that.
Yeah.
Right? He wasn't he like for those whips, they'd have to like braid them and take time. The preparation,
Yeah.
I think it says that he like gathered.
Yeah, I don't know if they were there available to him or not, but he clearly was indignant in a healthy way. Like,
Yeah. It wasn't like, hey, I'm doom scrolling and then all of a sudden I see something and I'm going to post 60 comments about how these people are idiots.
Yeah.
Like he had a justified reason for being angry and he went about it in the way that matched the wrong.
Yeah, and it's
we use
interesting.
that sometimes to be unjustified in our anger.
Well, because I would say like healthy masculinity around emotions is being
Yeah.
able to speak the truth without exploding.
Yes.
Or like going unhinged.
Yeah.
And some people may say that he was unhinged in that moment, but it was Jesus. So he did everything perfectly.
Yeah.
So what it tells me is there are times when what may appear as unhinged to someone else is actually righteous indignation
Yeah.
and anger. It is interesting because there are things that happen from time to time in our country where a whole bunch of people get angry
Yeah.
and riled up and that's how we had a civil war.
Yeah.
That's how we, right? Like, so.
But Jesus's reputation was not that. And that's the difference, right?
No.
Is that when you meet some people and they're like, well, Jesus is like, yeah, bro, but you're always angry.
You're always. Dude,
Like
that's such a good point.
You're always looking for a reason to
Yeah.
comment or to call people stupid or just be rude. Jesus was peaceful, was the one that put the ear back on the guy that Peter cut. Like Jesus cared to reconcile people, to restore people. That was his reputation.
Yeah.
And so it's like that quiet friend when they finally speak and you're like, bro, we need to know it. And then they speak and you're like, dude, that was so good.
That was so fire. Why even holding out? It's like, because y'all are talking so much.
But it's that friend that has the reputation of being wise, so you want to hear their word. Jesus, that's the same thing. When you see Jesus angry, it's likely you should listen.
Mm-hmm. So I think, like, again, self-control is such a key factor when we talk about emotional.
Strength.
So if you do not have self-control, if you find yourself coming unhinged at your wife, coming unglued at the kids, like a lack of patience. I was just talking to one of my guys at 5 a.m. this morning. He's like, man, I got his goal is to get down to 195 by the 31st of January. And so he hit his goal and he was so happy. And so to celebrate, what did he do?
He went and ate Dairy Queen.
He went and got a bunch of sugar and he's like, bro, I feel terrible. And he's like, I've been impatient with my wife. I'm like, my kids are getting on my nerves. So it's like your diet actually affects you as well. So I think we'll talk about in a future episode, like how, our physicality impacts all of this.
Yeah.
But the point is like he was recognizing the fact that I am not as self-controlled as I want to be. And so I need to, looking in the mirror, we don't do that enough. We are so quick to fault somebody else, or we are so quick to teach somebody else, well, you should be doing this. And it's like, bro, are you doing it yourself? The whole hypocrite passage that Jesus, Matthew 23, he hammers that. So just a couple of things that just to kind of as a wrapping here. If you find yourselves depression, and I know, I'm not depressed. Okay. If you're bored, if you find yourself bored a lot, if you find yourself without purpose, if apathy kind of reigns in your life,
or you're always distracting yourself,
or you are filled with distractions, you're like avoidance. If you're always cynical, if you don't believe anything, like, bro, that's not a healthy spot. That doesn't make you a realist. It doesn't make you grounded. It makes you out of touch is what it is. And it makes you like not fun to be around, quite frankly. So those are things that I would say, those are kind of indicators that we can look at. And as we think about strength emotionally, a couple of things. One, he's going to listen without, like preparing a rebuttal, like you don't have to.
I listen to understand. Yeah.
I listen to understand before being understood. Shane Scott always says that.
I love that.
Which is a great
Shane's
line.
always got one-liners.
Oh, he's the king of the one-liners. We should have him on. Hey, bro, give us a list of your one-liners so we could just like roll them out on the podcast. An emotionally strong man is going to own his mistakes quickly. So I think about this, like, be quick to repent, be quick to say, I'm sorry. Look at David, perfect example. How can a man after God's own heart have committed adultery and murder? We think that, like, how, honestly, how? And the reason is when he was confronted, he immediately said, I have sinned. And he even says, not even against you and I've sinned against God. Like in other words, it was a spiritual, and yes, it's important that we acknowledge our sins against others, but if you don't acknowledge your sin against God first, right? Then it's kind of you shallow.
You disproportionately, like, you have not assessed the situation correctly.
Correct. Correct. Last one, I guess, would be, you can sit in grief,
fear,
right?
And disappointment.
Without just being controlled by it or
running away from
it. If you're drinking every night, if you're having even just like a glass of bourbon every night, which I know a lot of guys that are like this, like just one, it's just one glass, and it just takes the edge off. And
but what edge?
I get it. What edge? What edge are we talking about here? Plus, like, it will not let you sleep as well.
It's poison.
Right? So anyway, in closing here, emotion hardest for men to sit with. What do you think?
I don't know. I was gonna say loneliness, but the problem is that a lot of men do like being alone, but they don't like feeling lonely.
That's interesting. That's a good one.
But do we like sitting? Yeah. Do men? Yeah, I don't know that.
Loneliness.
But when I say loneliness, I don't mean the bodies in the room, like, because a lot of guys do like just tinkering, right? But like not feeling known or understood,
relationally bankrupt.
Yeah. Like we don't like sitting with that. I think that's why guys run to stuff, run to things. It's because things won't ever make me feel alone. It's
more tangible too.
Yeah. They won't turn their backs on me.
I was thinking that the emotion hardest for men to sit with is fear. I think like when we're afraid, we tend to act a fool. I'm really sitting in the back part of my brain, fight, flight, or freeze kind of thing, and that's not the best place to be.
Yeah.
So when we're afraid of being a failure, if we're afraid of not being able to, provide for our family, if we're afraid of, what our coworkers think about us, or just the stupid things that we're very competitive. So, if I'm not as good at golf as somebody else, that could legit ruin
I'm
my
always
day.
not as good at golf as somebody.
You have a proper estimation of yourself, though. I don't. I have delusions of grandeur. So all of those things I do think contribute to it. But, the biblical thing that we can do, obviously, is I think renew your mind, understand that Jesus and all of the patriarchs of the faith, like they dealt with their emotions, not always properly. And we have that, as an example to us. But obviously, Jesus was perfect. And so looking at his example for us to be able to process and practice self-control, and that comes from a renewed mind.
So when it comes to emotion, as we're closing, well, we now have what's it called again?
We got 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we got 5 minutes.
We got the big finish.
That's what it is, the big finish.
The big finish.
All right. It's a question for Alan and Jeff, obviously.
Hold on. We got, let's put the timer on. We got the big finish. All right, Alan. 3, 2, 1, go.
We're going to model healthy masculinity, vulnerability right now. So what was the last thing that made you cry?
Last thing that made me cry. So
I'm trying to remember.
Alan knows that I'm not a crier, and so I need to learn from this. But I will tell you, the last time I cried was a very healthy cry. I should have cried before that, because this was like this was a weeping. A weeping and gnashing of teeth. No, my wife and I had gone through just a 3-year period where I had to be emotionally resilient and strong for the family. She was in a very weak spot, a vulnerable spot, like a scary spot actually, and I needed to be strong for us and strong for the family. And so I kind of had to set my emotions on the shelf a little bit.
Yeah.
And I do think I processed them with other people, and I was processing them with the Lord, but it was still a lot. It was just a lot. And there were some things that maybe I thought were unresolved, but I didn't know it. And so one day after church, bro, we kids went with friends, and we were filling up gas, and we stayed at that 7-Eleven for a half hour.
They're like, what are they doing?
And I wept.
No way.
I just wept. I just wept about where I was, just some various things that I didn't even know were there. And it was so good for her to see it. And without getting into all the details, at the end of it, she was like, I see how I have taken you for granted, in this season. And man, the weight of the world,
just to be seen by your wife,
to be seen by my wife, the person who's my best friend, the one who I love more than anybody on this planet. Yeah. And to hear her say that was like, oh, I've been seen. But it took me being emotionally, I would say, healthy. Vulnerability, we tend to say vulnerability, and the reason vulnerability we don't do it is because other people hold it against us, and so we go, I tuck that away in the brain. I'm not going to do it again. And Jesus is like, no, be vulnerable again, and let my strength fill you. So that's what it is for me.
That's powerful, bro.
Yeah.
Mine is not as powerful.
No, I knew I was gonna. when I saw the question, I'm like, oh man, I got a really good. This is not like a crescendo. This is better. Yeah,
I was trying to think about like the last time, because I for some reason I don't cry a lot, but I do cry. Like I try to look for times to cry because I like how I feel after. And the last time I cried, I think I was at church, there was worship, and I was just thinking about the faithfulness of God and how I don't deserve his grace. And like to think about where he's brought me and my family, regardless of the trials, the tribulations, the difficulties that are before us. And we're not, by the world's eyes, in a successful place, but by God's standards, like my family is living in success.
Oh, so good.
And so I just felt like overwhelmed by the goodness of God in my life. And so I just cried. Yeah.
Bro, so good.
Yeah.
And that's the I always say, like, if music doesn't stir you, like why is there so much music in the scriptures?
Yeah.
It has to be to stir us to emotion.
Yeah.
Like God made us emotional people for a reason. And I think he utilizes worship in those moments to bring up some. That's why I told you a crescendo, bro.
Yeah.
Like a deep crescendo will typically, draw a tear from me. Like I just.
Well, the funny thing too is like my church, and I think we're shifting some stuff, but like we're not a very like the church body isn't very emotional during worship. You have some of us that like we raise our hands. You have some people that it's all the time.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like one of those songs where it was like everybody's going crazy. Yeah. It was just like the words.
Yeah.
The words pointed to Jesus and they pointed to him being the center of it all. Yeah. And that's what like really got me. Yeah. Obviously music helps, but like music and words I think is what got me like overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is the healthy response because it's the language. Because sometimes that's like an old hymn.
Yeah.
And I'll be moved just by the old hymn. And it's like, there's nothing crescendo-y about it. It's just the words are so powerful.
Yeah. Like an a cappella hymn, that'll get me.
Yeah.
That'll get me going.
For sure.
Well, hopefully you guys saw biblical masculinity displayed, more so in Jeff than I. But,
stop.
But we will see you on the next podcast.
God bless.
That was fast.